Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're doing very well. I'm doing well. So today I want us to talk about the challenges of an organic garden, all the challenges of farming organic, all the challenges of farming without pesticides and farming without chemicals. And I hope you learned something, and I hope you also go to the comments and teach me something. Of late, I've been learning so much from my followers, and I really appreciate those of you who are going to the comments and telling me how to do things, how not to do things. And it's always a learning day from each and every one of us. Mine is just to share my experiences, what I have learned over the years, and also I would appreciate if you share your own experiences. So after the rains, I did a video of how our garden was doing, the other garden, and now I'm at our new container garden, and I don't really want us to go through this garden and see what is doing well. I think it's just the same story. The indigenous crops are doing much better than the exotic ones, and so I think I'm learning a lesson that indigenous plants are more resilient. Like if you look at this is managu, the indigenous managu. It's doing very, very well compared to this cabbage. Both crops are in the same garden, same treatment, but you can see that both of them are doing differently. Or else, we harvested the, what are they called? The bok choy. I hope you saw that clip, the shot. I did a shot when I was harvesting this. But you can see the terere is just coming up on its own. I don't have to plant it. And over there, that's all terere that is doing very well. But we have broccoli over there really struggling. So this tells me that as much as we'd really love to have varieties of vegetables, most of the time the indigenous vegetables will always do better compared to them. To the exotic ones. That doesn't mean we will not grow the exotic vegetables anymore. No, we will grow them, but we will try to grow them organically. So challenge number one is the choice of vegetables or the choice of crops you grow in your place, in your area, actually does affect the outcome of your garden. So if you're choosing crops, just make sure you study your area or you talk to farmers around you. Like in my focus farmer groups, we always talk about what's best to grow in what season. There are seasons when cabbages do really well. There are seasons that they don't do really well. But you will not know that just by probably reading or just by random growing. Sometimes you will learn it from other farmers, you will learn it from specialists if they are agronomists in your area. I remember when I was growing up, we used to have agricultural extension officers. They are no longer there nowadays, so we have to find a way to learn. And one of the ways to learn is join farmer groups. Don't be all alone. Join social media groups where they talk about farming, share your experiences, ask. So the challenge number two of organic farming is pests, and that affects so many people. Every time I stand before farmers to train them, every time I join a discussion group of farmers, there is always a question about pests. And one of the things that I've come to appreciate over time is that there is no one sure way in organic farming to eliminate pests, because it's part of the agroecology. If we totally eliminate one pest, we are very soon going to have a problem with another pest. So the idea is to coexist. I know that sounds very far-fetched for farmers who probably want to make an income from their gardens or their farms, but I think it's the only way out. If we over-rely on pesticides to kill all insects, if we over-rely on herbicides to kill all weeds or all unwanted crops, then you're going to suffer a problem with the climate, because we are going to destroy our ecology, we are going to destroy our soils, and then our soils will be less productive as the years go by. We are also going to have resistant, like the soils are not going to rejuvenate themselves, and some pests are going to be resistant to the pesticides we use. And so it's not going to be a 1, 2, 3 way of solving problems in agroecology, but you're going to work with the environment the way the environment works. And so one of the ways to try to deter pests is companion planting, which I hope to talk about in another video. It's a very extensive topic in organic farming: companion planting, crop rotation. If you've ever joined one of my trainings, I am very passionate about soil fertility, soil care. All those things contribute to how your plants turn out. And so that brings me to the next challenge in organic farming. It's soil fertility. Ideally, different crops require different nutrients when you're planting them, and that shows in how they grow and how they produce. Especially, let's talk about the leafy vegetables, which are make like 60% of my garden. These ones require a lot of nitrogen. It's not the same with the flowering vegetables. Those ones require a different profile of nutrients. So in organic farming, the drill is make sure your soil is well aerated, make sure you put a lot of manure, make sure there's a lot of organic matter, make sure your soil doesn't have any chemical fertilizers or any pesticides. That's when your soil is considered quote-unquote organic. But the catch is when I put manure when I'm planting, how do I know that my tomatoes, which are flowering plants, will get the right nutrients at the right time for them to be able to flower properly, for them to be able to put the right amount of fruits and not put so much of leaves and no fruits? I have had farmers ask me, my tomatoes look very healthy, they have a lot of leaves, but they don't have any fruit. And that's usually a problem of nutrition. And with organic farming, and especially when you are not using any formulated products for your farm or your garden, it's very hard to tell whether you put the normal manure that we put, the chicken manure and the rabbit manure and the goat manure, whether your plants are really absorbing the right nutrients at the right time. So one of the ways that I've been trying to address this, it's been a challenge to me too as a gardener. I don't like to bury my hand under the sand and pretend that I have all the solutions to these problems. No, I also suffered these problems. So one of the ways that I've been trying to mitigate that is to buy organic formulated products, and they do exist. There are people who have made nutrient forecast products which are organic and biodegradable and safe for the environment, which you can use at different stages of your crops. Like for me, in my tomatoes, I use the Bloom one. This one called Bloom from Brew Organics. I use it for tomatoes, and then I use rabbit urine, which is rich in nitrogen. That one is very good with pests and the leafy vegetables, but it doesn't always kill 100% of the pests. I must give that disclaimer. So I use the Bloom one for when my tomatoes start to flower, so that they can flower and have more blooms and put more tomatoes, as opposed to me continuing to feed them nitrogen and then they continue to produce more leaves and less tomatoes. So the last challenge of organic farming is our produce is never perfect. I know most of the time when you go to an organic market, you find some tomatoes are crooked, they are not as straight as you'd expect them. Our produce is not picture perfect. And I think that's one of the things that consumers don't appreciate, especially in this country and even in other countries. Consumers want the clean tomatoes, the perfect looking tomatoes, the green sukuma wiki, the perfect looking ones. But I must tell you that if nothing is eating your garden, then you probably do not want to eat it. You are not part of the ecosystem. So as much as we try to deter pests, as much as we try to make our produce as good as we can, we also do appreciate the fact that in an organic farm, you will never have perfect produce. And if more of us try to appreciate that fact, then we are going to appreciate eating more organic. Because if you go to the market and all you do is choose the most perfect produce, you are more likely not to be choosing organic produce. So appreciate that organic produce is not always going to be perfect, and work with what you have. Like for me, and I look at these cabbages, I've already tried to hatch a plan of how to consume them. Instead of me waiting for them to form the ball, the cabbage, I'm just going to start eating the leaves. So that way, the pest will eat them, but I will also have eaten some. So I'll just pick some and make my coleslaw. The lettuce is not affected as much. This lettuce is okay, is doing well. This was the stark eyes seeds, they are doing very well. Even the coriander is doing well, and the carrots. What we are having a problem with is the cabbage and the broccoli. The brassica family is literally struggling, and yeah, I don't know why but with time we are going to figure out some solutions. So one of the ways to make sure that you don't lose everything, start eating your produce as soon as you can. Don't wait for it to overgrow in your garden or in your farm. And also educate your buyers to buy produce when it's usually more tastier and more nutritious when you eat it younger. So there is always a win-win situation with the organic farming. Also, our soil gets better. The other thing that I would really like to encourage people to do as we move more into organic eating and organic farming is to appreciate value-added food. For me now, if I was to harvest everything here because the pests are almost overwhelming me, I would not be able to eat all of it in a day or two. I'll not also be able to store it in the fridge as fresh, and some of us don't even have fridges. So the other thing I would advise you is to appreciate and embrace value addition. So if you are going to harvest these cabbages at this stage, if you have a lot, like me, I have very little, so it's not really a big thing. But if you have a lot and you've reached this stage where you see the crop is almost being destroyed by pests, instead of keeping fighting and you're seeing like this one is almost gone, and you harvest it at that stage, make sauerkraut. Sauerkraut will stay with you for longer. And teach yourself, train yourself. People tell me, oh, I can't eat that, the value-added produce, I want the fresh produce. I think it's a culture we need to develop. If we are talking about food security, we cannot talk about food security without talking about value addition, because that enables us then to give even our soil time to rest. For me, if I harvest everything and then I fill my freezers with the frozen vegetables, which I do often, I branch and freeze them, I'll let my containers rest for a month or two or even longer. Then when it's the next season, I'll come and add manure and plant. That way, if there were any pathogens, sometimes they'll be dead, the soil will have rejuvenated itself. But if I'm planting day in, day out, even if it's a big farm, I'll need to use chemical fertilizers to rejuvenate my soils. And then again, I cannot be able to leave my soil to rest if I don't have supply of food. That's if I'm farming for my food. So the only way then to make sure I have supply of food is to value add the food that I harvest, to store it, and then let my soil rest. So if more of us, I kind of believe that if most of us can embrace this, then we are able to let our soils rest and rejuvenate. And then the next season we are growing, our soils are better. I think in the old age, that's how it used to work. They would not plant throughout, day in, day out. They would let the soil rest. So those are the challenges we face in organic farming or organic gardening. I have not even scratched the surface with the pest and the soil health. Those are very deep topics, which I'll be covering slowly by slowly. But if you're facing challenges as an organic gardener or an organic farmer, and you're seeking for solutions, let's have a conversation. Just go to the comment and ask, and then all of us should go and answer. So if you find your friend has asked a question and probably have not reached it and answered, someone else should answer, so that we help each other embrace more organic ways of farming. The climate is not so good, it's not favoring us, and it's believed now that agroecology is the way to go, and agroecology is a bold solution. We must communicate that it's a bold solution to solving the world climate crisis and even solving the world hunger. So let's do this, let's encourage each other, as I've always said, let's teach each other, let's inspire each other. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've learned something. I hope I've encouraged you to keep going organic, even if you're feeling like, this is a losing battle. You're not alone. It's so many of us, and the only way to fight and win is to come together. We are always better when we are together. Thank you so much for watching this video, and always remember, if you have a vision, add some passion. I'll see you in the next one.